So Duke Tobin was at the Senior Bowl, and you already know, wherever Duke Tobin is, they're going to ask him questions about T. Higgins and about Jamarr Chase. And that's exactly what they did. So they asked him first off about Jamarr Chase's contract. Like, what's going on? He's up for an extension. What's your opinion on the matter? He said, very, very loosely here, he's eligible for an extension. Sometimes those things happen. Sometimes they don't. It could. We like Jamarr. He's in our long-term plans. He's shown that he is a high-level player in this league. And that's it. That's all he said on the Jamarr Chase extension, which, to be honest, is probably the best thing he can say. Now, I'm not sitting here and saying that, he can't show his hand or any, Bengals coach can't show their hand when it comes to contract negotiations because at the end of the day, it's very clear we need to keep Jamarr Chase on this team. Okay, it's very clear on that. There's not really much to be said. It's just back and forth to figure out what the correct number is for both sides. What he said about T. Higgins is a tad bit different. And he went a little bit more in detail about T. Higgins' contract than he did Jamarr Chase's. Because on paper, Jamarr Chase is pretty much going to get done. No matter what, right? That's not really a question. Now, T. Higgins, on the other hand, while yes, I believe it will get done, it is a little bit more of a difficult situation. And here's what he had to say about T. Higgins' contract. Let me actually move this over to the right-hand side here. He said, I want T. Higgins back. Everyone on our team would like T. Higgins back. There's a pie, and there's things we can and can't do because of it. We'll see. And this actually kind of goes back to a little bit of what we saw with, Mike Brown. I think it was last offseason. They talked about potentially getting T. Higgins back, and the way he put it was exactly the way Duke Tobin put it. There's a pie, there's a salary cap pie, and you have to remember, if someone takes a big piece of that pie, then the other part of that pie now is no longer available for other players. So they kind of have to, pick and choose whatever is the best for the team when it comes to that pie and only so much you have. So again, like I said, we'll have to wait and see what ends up happening, right? Obviously, I think with T, we're franchise tag him. But I think 100% when it comes to Chase, the priority is getting his contract done. And nothing is going to happen with T until we get his contract done. It doesn't matter what else is going on. Chase's contract is first. Then, as he said, we'll figure out what's going on with the pie. Then we'll take another piece to try to give it to T. And then, again, you take that big piece for Chase, that big piece for T, and now you have less for other players. That's why Chase already came out and said that, he might not be taking from the same pie, in theory, that T's taking from. Because he wants his money guaranteed out of the midst of Mike Brown's pockets. He wants to go in Mike Brown's wallet and say, give me that. I will take that. Don't worry, salary cap, you can say the same. We'll see how that ends up working out. Mike Brown is notoriously cheap. So, he's not really the guy who likes to just throw money around. Nonetheless, though, again, like I said, we'll see what ends up happening. But at the same time, they can't really say much, right? And that's one thing we're going to realize from Duke Tobin, from Coach Taylor, from everyone. Because, listen, they're going to be asked 1,000 different times, 1,000 different ways, try to get that news headline, try to manipulate what they're saying, just so that people can figure out, what's going on here. But I promise you one thing, even with Duke Tobin, even with Zach Taylor, even with Katie Blackburn, to a certain degree, right? To a certain degree, because they know a little bit more, but to a certain degree, most of them know as much as we know. And what I mean by that is because a lot of the contracts, well, they might know a little bit more because the contracts have already been talked a little bit. They know a rough estimate of how much T wants, right? Obviously, it's not going to release to the public. That's behind closed doors. They know a rough estimate of what he wants. They know a rough estimate of what they want to offer him. They know what they offered him, right? At the end of the day, though, until they get back in the negotiation room and they keep talking and they get back to work, which they haven't yet because they don't negotiate during the season, they know as much as we know whether or not T's going to stay here. So this is one thing I will say about reporters is they're going to ask Tobin and Coach Taylor and everyone over and over again, hey, like how, like, is he going to stay? Is he going to stay? Is he going to stay? At the end of the day, they know as much as we know right now. Until they get back in negotiation room and figure out a price tag, they know how far they're off. And according to sources, going into this season, what they offered T was nothing to what he wanted. It wasn't even close, according to multiple sources. And if that's the case, then they know as much as we know when it comes to whether or not he's going to stay. And T definitely wants to stay, right? And I think the franchise tag is going to give us a little bit more leeway room to kind of push this, envelope of time to keep him on this roster. But at the end of the day, it's only going to push it so far, and you still have to figure out a contract that works out for everybody. Now, Joe has made it very clear he wants T to stay. He wants Chase to stay. If that's the case, there is options, okay? And I've said it many times, but Mr. Joe, there are options for you to make that happen. Because, see, if you take a piece of the salary cap pie, right, you can always put some pieces back. You haven't eaten all your pieces, Joe. You got 275 million pieces right now. You miss half the season. Obviously, that's not your fault, right? But if you're like, hey, listen, I want to keep my guys, take some of that piece that you got, put it back in the pie, and now things get better. It's called restructuring your deal. It's called pushing money toward the future. What you could do, Joe, is take some of your money and push it toward an extra year on the end of your contract, and that could free up around $20-30 million against the salary cap this upcoming year, and that $20-30 million could be $20-30 million for T. Higgins. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised because at the end of the day, you can't really ask Joe to do that. And I'm not saying Joe should do that. By the way, I want to stress enough. I'm not saying that I believe Joe should give up some of his money. He has earned his money. He deserves his money. That's his money. That's 100% his choice. My point is that I'm just saying what he could do, right? I'm just saying what he could do, what his options are available. For this, at this moment right now, the only player / personnel / anyone who could 1000% make this happen is number 9. That's the only one. Duke Tobin, Zach Taylor, Katie Blackburn, they have to work out a contract that works out for the team and them. Number 9 can either say, hey, listen, add another year to my contract. Here's $30 million. Let's go. I mean, we saw this with Aaron Rodgers this last offseason. He gave back his $30 million signing bonus so that they could go out and get other players. Like Rodgers, the most, in all intents and purposes, the selfish player in the league at quarterback, who has been known to be a selfish player for so long, gave back $30 million. He said, hey, $30 million signing bonus, take that back. I want another player. It can happen. A player can do that. A player can give back their money and say, I'm giving this back because I want to go sign this guy. I want T back. Here's $30 million. Give me T back. It's possible. But again, like I said, I'm never, ever, ever going to say a player should do that. Because at the end of the day, this is a business. That is his money. That is his choice. That is his opportunity. It's his everything. I'm just putting it out there that there is ways to get around this, right? There's always ways to get around the salary cap. There's a reason why they say the salary cap is like a make-believe number, right? It's a fake number because you can always manipulate it and work it around in your way if you have a willing, situations to make it figured out. Tell me down below your thoughts and opinions, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.